The agenda for today's call is that, we will be discussing ServiceNext as a product and what it does to, help organizations go through the automation route, typically in the ITSM space, right? And how we are revolutionizing IT operations. And we'll also talk about what ServiceNext has to offer from a value standpoint, how we're solving, large-scale problems, especially in the IT service function. I hope everybody is able to hear me clearly. If not, please, feel free to point that to me.
We can hear you clearly, Manas. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so we work very closely with a lot of industry analysts, including the likes of Gartner and IDC, right? And what we see, what's happening around in the world of IT operation, especially, we have been having a lot of discussions, around that with CEOs, right? And with CIOs, sorry. And what we see is that, the top areas of concentration for the CIOs in the next couple of years is, how to be better at doing the IT ops and how to serve the, right? And in this direction, right, how to be, to predict their systemic problems, right? And how do we address it or minimize it at least so that the disruption to actual business comes down, right? So the whole idea here is that, how to move from being a very reactive organization to a very proactive, organization by being in a better position to predict what the next problem is going to be and, how we are going to address that problem. So as of today, there are a lot of, strategic initiatives like improving customer support or investing in data mining, for better monetization opportunities and other initiatives which can give the businesses a competitive edge. So that's being the trend, and ServiceNext is, uniquely positioned over there to help you achieve that. Right? Now, going to the next slide. So this slide talks about a bit about, what Sunera is as an organization. So we are, over 16-year-old organization today, and we're a cloud-first organization, right? We are spread across, 8 global locations. We have, very good resources amounting to 1,200 plus, right? Who comes with, years of experience in this space, right? We have 9 innovative digital platforms. We have close to 300 plus customers that we service regularly in this space, right? And ServiceNext is one of the product among many such products that we bring to you today, right? Now this talks about a list of clients that we have been servicing over the years, and most of these clients have benefited immensely from ServiceNext as a tool, right? Now in the so typically this slide talks about the AI, ML, and RPA solutions that we run in the innovation labs of Sunera, right? So what we do is in the bots and the RPA solution space, we have digital assistants or bots. So what they do is they help in automating typical ITSM help desk situations like password reset or maybe an AD issue, an issue with your Active Directory, right? Or it could be a customized RPA solution for your FinOps or for your HR ops, right? We also do a lot of predictive intelligence work, specifically in the real-time data mining, right, and behavioral model predictions, right? And we also do turnkey solutions where we provide machine learning as a service. We have a number of renowned data scientists with us, right, who help us to render this service to clients, right? Now, what we are here to offer is that we have 31 out of the box use cases or experiences which we see are 80% of call drivers in the ITSM or in the IT service desk as of date, and all these are very much closely aligned to the ITIL process as we know it, right? Now the question is obviously why SuneraTech, right? Why ServiceNext? There are so many chatbots in the market. What is it that we offer that's not there with others, right? So the first thing is, we take enterprise security very seriously, right? We all come from that very background, and we understand, how important it is for businesses to be secure, even when you're using chatbots. So that's the first thing that we cater to. Next is, we since we come from that background, we really understand, what are the drivers that will make your automation business case a success, right? So we make sure to pick those particular use cases which will give you the maximum benefit or the maximum ROI, when you go ahead and implement it, right? So we recently did this implementation for one of the Fortune 500 manufacturer, right? So they have close to 9,600 employees globally, spread across 32 manufacturing locations. And their application landscape was quite spread out, over 51 plus on-prem and cloud-based applications. And the most interesting part was that we did this implementation over 8 languages, English obviously being one of them, but the other languages were Spanish, Portuguese, Mandarin, and Japanese, and the likes of it, right? Now, the problem that we're essentially targeting there is around 24,000 plus, service desk tickets a year, right? With an average MTTR of 18.2 hours, right? So what we did was we were able to target close to 60 to 65% of the tickets. We could automate it, we could sort of deflect it using our ServiceNow bots, and we could bring down the MTTR to 8.2 hours. So if you see from 18.2 hours to 8.2 hours, so that's a dramatic reduction in the MTTR, and that's the sort of value that we give with our ServiceNext bots, right? Now, as a result, if we do a calculation, we would see that in a period of 3 years, we have helped the organization save close to $700,000. Right? Now, like I said, over the years, what we have seen is, what are the top 5 areas where CIOs would like to concentrate, right? And from that, we have deduced that, for any chatbot to be a success in any client implementation, right, we need better deflection. By that, I mean, you need better, adoption of chatbot within the organization, right? So we have worked around that. We have worked to transform the experience of a chatbot to make sure that the uptake happens, right? Second thing is that we have ensured we have adequate compliance when we go ahead with the chatbot, right? So we have worked on access management bots. We have worked on asset management bots and issue submission bots. Then the most important thing is that we ensure that all your standardized automations or standardized FAQ questions, which can be answered by a bot, are really implemented, which will help you to eventually reduce the costs over there. So it helps you save money in the run the business scenario, right? And this will ultimately give you an increased first call resolution, right? So what happens is that we are essentially freeing up your your resource bandwidth to do much more value add work, right? So your agents in the end become much more productive, so that they can better assist you in your L3 and L4 issues, right? So over to Vinil over here.
Hey Manas, thank you so much. Good afternoon, folks. It's afternoon here. I'm in the Central Time Zone. So thank you so much for that, Manas. And let me continue. Do you want to hold on to the presentation, or should I go on from here, Manas? Do you want to navigate? So, Manas, are you navigating the presentation? Hello? I don't think. All right.
Yeah, Vinil, I'll be navigating it.
Sure. So let me go from. All right. I couldn't hear you that for a little while. Okay. So like Manas was saying, so how do we, Manas talked about all the good stuff in terms of, how we bring about transformation in terms of how you transform the employee experience, right? So one of the things that comes to your mind when we talk about IT service desk is that currently every IT desk, almost about 9 out of 10 CIOs that I talked to today, IT service desk as a perception is very, very low in the enterprise, right? And one of the main reasons for that, I think, is the experience of how IT service desk is built today, right? In the design of IT service desk of how it's built today is because it's very, it's not a proactive design, right? It's a very reactive design, the way IT service desk runs today. That means that if I have a problem, then, I go report that to the service desk and then, it gets resolved, right? And of course, there's a lot of improvement that can happen in the way the issue is resolved today too, right? There are two parts to it. So essentially, when we talk about transforming that whole support experience, then, we're looking at two things. One is, can I move my very reactive service desk to being a very proactive kind of experience, right? And that's one. So it means, even before, so for example, even before my password, is about to expire, right? Can I get a notification on that, right? Or, if one of the, I have a scheduled Zoom meeting in 1 hour from now, and then, the internet is down, then, can I proactively inform the user that, hey, you know what, maybe you got to find another way, or, you might want to go to a different VPN to do this, right? So that becomes a very proactive experience, right? So I think that's the key on, or one of the keys on the experience transformation. And then how fast, once an issue is, is reported, how fast can I respond to it, right? So that becomes the second most important factor, right? So anytime, anywhere, a lightning fast response, I think that's where, the other experiential transformation aspect comes in, right? So ServiceNext as a DNA or as a tenets of when we designed this platform, we thought, these are the two things that become most important: proactive service, and then, lightning fast service, right? And that's how we design the whole platform to kind of transform the experience. Now, from that standpoint, how do we achieve that, right? Now, when we look at that, then we are saying, okay, there are three things essentially that we can do. One is, we have, among the team, like Manas, there are about a half a dozen very, very old hats at managing IT hubs, right? So we all put together nearly close to 100 years of experience between ourselves. And then, we kind of came up with saying, okay, if you take a typical enterprise, what are the, 50 or 60% of repeatable transactions or repeatable requests, service desk requests that can be automated. And then, we came up with 6 categories. We bucketed them in 6 categories, which include authentication management, access and authorization management, self-service guided troubleshooting, proactive outage information, and asset management. Asset management being the new kid on the block, I can say. So across these 6 categories, if we typically take any enterprise, 60 to 70% of all service desk tickets fall in one of these categories, right? So then, we took these and then, we kind of looked at the 31 use cases, right? And then we said, okay, why don't we we kind of pre-built that into the platform, right? So we come with that kind of so the platform comes pre-built with the use cases, the pre-built journeys, and the workflows that can happen. So let me go ahead and Manas, do you think we should do a quick demo?
Yeah, I'll stop the screen share here. Binil, you can take over.
Okay, so let me see. Let me know if my screen comes up. Do you see my screen, Manas?
Yeah, it's visible, Binil.
All right. So first off, let me log into ServiceNow. I did that. So what I'm going to show you now is a demo environment that we've set up. So imagine that your digital assistant so I'm going to show you one of the channels, right? So I'm going to show you the digital assistant living on your ITSM portal, let's say, right? Or a self-service portal. And then imagine you have a ServiceNow or any other ITSM tool, and then they have a self-service page, and then the bot is on the self-service page, right? But this is only one of the channels that the bot can live on. But otherwise, the bot can live on any other messaging channel that you have within your enterprise, like a Skype, or you might be using a Slack, or it can also live on an SMS. It can also be deployed on a voice. So it's irrespective of where it lives, but except for the form factor, the intelligence of the bot and the capability to complete a transaction remains the same, right? So let's go ahead and just give you let me give you a 3-minute or a 4-minute kind of an experience in terms of how the bot looks. So when you come to the page, you would see that the bot is giving you proactive outage notifications in terms of if any of the service is down, right? So one of the biggest deflections that we can achieve is by being proactive about all the outages in the enterprise, right? Because you might know that most of the tickets that are generated, at least 25-30% of the tickets that are generated can be deflected if people know that there is a outage, right? Otherwise, you will have these repeat tickets, known issues being created, which have to be resolved as per compliance. Right. So, being proactive about outages is a good factor where we can deflect a lot of tickets. So that's one strategy. That's for everybody to see. And this is where now, once I get started, it starts becoming personal to me. So what does that mean? It means that, it's asking me to identify myself. And here again, we use multiple techniques to authenticate a user. In this particular scenario, I'm showing an interesting one based on my mobile number. And once I enter my mobile number, what the system is doing is it's going into my Active Directory service, and it's identified who I am, and it sent me a one-time password to my mobile phone. Let me just quickly check that. 4538. There you go. Now, once I enter the one-time password, this is a very simple but a very powerful two-factor authentication to identify myself. Now, once I did that, it kind of identified who I am, and it gave me a very personalized catalog of services, right? Now, what does that mean by personalized and smart catalog of services is that it's looking at my previous tickets. It's saying, okay, what are the frequently issues that Vinyl has? That's one. plus it's also considering looking at what are the trending issues that are being reported, right? So in a combination of this, it is scoring, that, and based on that, it is going into my ITSM tool, which is ServiceNow, and it is getting me these categories. So it's a very personalized and smart catalog that gets generated for me, right? Now, let's say, let's do a simple thing like I am having email issues, right? So within email issues, again, it is, it's kind of looking at, okay, if people are having email issues, what are the most often reported ones right now, right? So what are the trending issues within email, right? So let's say the most popular one is I'm unable to send and receive email. I quickly click on that. So at this point in time, what the bot is trying to do is it's kind of trying to help me resolve the issue myself, right? So it's kind of giving me a step-by-step guide in terms of how I can resolve the issue. Now, once I'm able to, let's say, even after doing this, I was not able to resolve the issue, then it's asking me to kind of, I can say, report the issue. I can say, not able to send email or something like that. Right. Now, once I do that, what the bot did was the digital assistant has gone ahead and created a ticket, right, within ServiceNow. So let's go to ServiceNow and see if, I see 557. I think we should have 558. There you go, 558, created by Vinil just now. Right. So you can see all the details here, right? Not able to send the email is the description, and by default, it kind of, picked up who it has to be assigned to, what is the impact. So it's smart enough to figure out all the ticket details and then create a ticket and assign it to the resolver within the system, right? So that's one of the things that I wanted to show you. And then other things, then, it could be as simple as looking at my previous tickets. So once I click on that, then you can see that, not able to send email was the latest one. And then I can go back and see the previous ones. I can update them by, once I click update, I can update the priority on it. And once I update the priority, then, it can kind of get escalated to the next level, right? So yeah, that's on that. And I can show you several other examples like, so let's say I request for a SharePoint folder access, right? Then it's asking me to enter my email, .ai. Now here I'm showing a very simplified version of the workflow, but what happens is when we deploy it within the enterprise, then based on the organizational hierarchy, then the digital assistant is able to take this request, create a ticket, and then it is able to send a, so there you go. I got access to the folder. I click on this, and then you can see that I can quickly log in and use the can be fun. Okay, so that's on the what capabilities, right? So I have several other use cases that, but because of the limited time, I think we only have 15 more minutes. So I'll stop here on the demo and then go back to the presentation. Manas, do you want to go back to the presentation?
Yeah, sure, Vinil.
All right. So so just wanted to kind of give you give you folks an idea on what the capabilities of the bot are. Now, yeah. So Manas, over to you.
Yeah. So, in terms of benefits, what we have typically seen is that, we get 10x results in terms of, the response. So if I go back to a typical use case, right, a password reset, right, typically in any organization, if it's not automated, it would, go and hit your service desk, some L1 would work on that. And it easily, if not less, it hits a half an hour time attack before, you get the problem resolved. But with our, ServiceNext bot, it happens in a matter of seconds, I would say, right? So that's just one example. And if you look into the 31 use cases, right, you will see, it gives you really a 10x boost in terms of the speed in which the problem is resolved, right? Second is, it reduces your ticket backlog by a huge count, because there's no hops over here, there are no assignments over here. Your problems are getting, solved as soon as it hits the chatbot, right? So easily you can look at, 60% of your tickets just getting resolved and not sitting there as a backlog, right, for somebody to work on. Obviously, all this leads to, your SLAs being adhered to. Your CSAT scores go up dramatically, right? And you have that, wonderful predictive experience for your end users or your employees, right? So, so the IT support becomes a star in the organization, right? Now, in terms of integrations, right? We we have channels, right, in the front end. Our channels are, facing the web. We have voice integrations. We can even do it through SMS or Slack, or maybe, Teams or SFB, what have you, right? And on the back end, we have integrations with, almost all the ITSM tools in the market: Fresh Service, ServiceNow, Sherwell, right, Manage Engine. So, okay.
Yeah. So Manas, do you want to go back one slide? Just wanted to add.
Sure.
Yeah. So from an, like I was saying, this slide is more about how ServiceNext is built as a platform. What does it contain, right? So one is, I've shown you the 31 use cases. That's where, we bring in the IT flavor, right, for any chatbot, right? We bring in the prefabricated workflows. We bring in the integrations with ITSM tools. We have built the integration with the channels, right? And so on and so forth. That is the IP of ServiceNext, right? The domain understanding of ITSM, the domain understanding of how that experience, the current experience, can be transformed, right? So that's our IP. While the platform, from an AI and machine learning perspective, we've gone the best of the breed route on the machine learning approach, where we use the best of the breed assemble of technologies from Google, Amazon, Amazon Lex, and IBM to bring in the best capabilities when it comes to natural language processing or voice recognition, and make that future-proofed, right? So that way, our enterprise customers, when it comes to the base machine learning infrastructure, can be assured that they have the best of the breed assemble of technologies when it comes to machine learning capabilities, right? So that said, this slide is more to show how the system is architected or built. Yeah. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, Manas. Yeah. So like I was saying, our focus was all on bringing the enterprise domain understanding into the digital assistant or the bot. So what does that mean? It means that today our smart digital digital assistant understands more than 300 plus intents, right? So that means when I ask something to the bot, like for example, example, if somebody is saying, hey, my internet is down, or I'm not able to use my Wi-Fi, or I'm not able to send or receive emails, how should I classify that, right? And because it's a machine, so we bought in that classification capabilities, the natural language understanding capabilities, and the domain. So that's where we kind of built that whole AI model, so that the bot, when implemented, and the typical implementation is, we have seen for customers, the first use case, first 3 or 4 use cases, you can go live in less than 6 weeks time, right? And password resets and other use cases, right? And that capability is there because the system comes with so much pre-built and pre-packaged knowledge that it becomes easy for the enterprise to adopt. The solution is completely cloud-based, so there's very minimal footprint, on-prem footprint that we need to do. The platform comes with a lot of integrations with ITSM, your existing ITSM tools. So that means, again, the integration time, the configuration time is reduced by close to 90%. Hope that was helpful. Manas, over to you. Right. So like I was saying, so typically most of the CIOs that I talk to, they have questions on how fast can we extract the value out of this whole solution, right? So the way we look at this is, typically you will have a 6 months roadmap, wherein you can look at, or you can call it as an automation roadmap, where within the first 30 days, what you're doing is you're automating your passwords and other low-hanging opportunities that we have, which are very transactional in nature, right? So, and then you slowly move on to kind of automating complex, slightly more complex kind of use cases as we go forward, right? So that's the kind of typical 120-day roadmap, where you start off with password resets and then you move on to more and more complicated use case. By the end of 6 months, you're seeing that you have a fairly deeply automated service desk function, where you can say that, yes, you moved the needle on how your employees are experiencing service desk. From an engagement model, Manas was also talking about this earlier, I guess. But from an engagement model, while we're working with more than 25 plus large enterprise customers today, at a scale of 15,000 plus employees, one of the things that has been very successful, or why ServiceNext has been very successful in convincing customers that this is the right solution for them, is one of the things is the empathy that we have for the CIO organization when it comes to innovation, right? So what it means is that the typical challenge is, when taking up, these kinds of initiatives have never been done in the past from a AI project perspective, and there is always a lot of skepticism in terms of whether it will work, whether my employees will adopt this technology, or is it time and money wasted, right? So what we do is that in order to reduce that risk and help CIOs build a business case, and directors and IT directors build a business cases, we are offering something that's called as a proof of value engagement, which is nothing but a pilot, right? And it's no cost. At no cost, the enterprise can adopt this. We kind of enable 3 or 4 use cases in the proof of value, which are of importance to you, right? So we ask you to pick the 3 most hot use cases when it comes to IT service desk, and then we kind of take that, automate it to you, and then you can experience. You can actually take it live to a set of employees or a larger group of employees and test it out and see what the adoption is, and whether you are able to, like Mana showed you in the business case earlier on in the presentation. You can kind of see if that kind of a value you are getting from the platform before you go on to a full-blown automation kind of a engagement with your customers. Yeah, so I think with 5 minutes left, I kind of leave the floor to you, Manas, and the audience to ask if they have any questions. We can take questions now.
Thanks, Vinil. Thanks, Manas. The floor is now open for questions. Please type in your questions in the question Q&A panel in your Zoom box.
Yeah. So, Gayatri, do you have a email ID? Where if any of the participants would want to have any questions that they would want to send offline, what would you think would be a right email?
Sure. So Vinil, it can be either your or Manas, or it can be reached out to my ID directly, Vinil. Which is
there an email ID that we can show on the screen?
Sure.
Manas?
Yeah, sure.
Manas, can you type it somewhere so that you can make a note of it?
Yes, I'm doing that.
Okay. Sure. Like Gayatri said, if anybody has questions, then we are open to take those questions.
There's a question, Vinil. The question is, how do we do automatic categorization of incidents? Can that be using ServiceNext?
That's a great question to ask. So I might want a little more information, like, what is the kind of ITSM tool that you're using today? But however, what we do is, typically this is how the process goes. We look, all you have to do is, give us a history of your tickets, right? So the way we start engaging with a proof of value is that we sign an NDA with you. And once we sign an NDA with you, what we ask of you is that, we can get a ticket dump, right, for the last 6 to 8 months. Now, once we get your ticket dump, then, we feed it into our machine learning algorithms at ServiceNext, and then, we do smart categorization, right? Because we already have the data sets and the metadata to kind of smartly categorize the tickets that you have. And then what we do is once we have the entire ticket dump, our algorithm kind of processes that and gives you all kind of parameters in terms of, what are the categories that are high traffic for you, what are the categories of tickets that are ripe for automation, which are repetitive, what are the more complex ones, what are the scripts that can be automated. So that's one on the plain and simple one. Now, if you have a run book, right? Some of the organizations do, some of them don't. But if you have a run book in a combination with the tickets and the run book, we also kind of come up with recommendations on what are the procedures that can be automated. Right. Now, the categories, like you said, the categories, we have our own data dictionary, which is a standard ITIL-based data dictionary. And plus, we also kind of smartly tag your entire data and then come up with the categorization of tickets. I hope that answers the question. Who asked that question? Is it Gayatri?
It's a phone number.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Vinil, one more we have is
yes.
I have a legacy OTRS ITSM tool.
Yes.
Is your solution capable enough to integrate to my ITSM? What do you need for?
Yeah. So OTRS, yes, we are currently doing OTRS integration for a global manufacturing company, and for their European site, they have OTRS, and we are integrating with them. OTRS, of course, is an open source. They have APIs, well articulated APIs for us to integrate. So within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think we are releasing a version with OTRS integration inbuilt. So yeah, we can pretty much work with OTRS.
Thanks, Sunil, for that. One more question we have is, how do we detect anomalies using this solution? Is it done by flagging unusual repeat incidents, or how is it done?
Yeah, anomalies. So when it comes to when it comes to tickets, the digital assistant is constantly monitoring kind of what tickets are coming in, and if it encounters anything which is a new category or which is a new incident, right? Based on these, there is a flagged off event, incident, and then based on so we do supervised, we use unsupervised algorithm anomalies. And then we use supervised machine learning algorithms for figuring out a repeatable pattern where we can kind of write a script, or it can automate the process of the resolution.
Okay, so is it right to assume, Vinil, that if the bot is not able to resolve, there is an agent handover?
Oh yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And do we also have
That is
multiple?
what we have seen in the demo, right, Gayatri?
Yeah. And do we also have multilingual support for the solution?
Yes, of course we do. Of course we do. Like in Manas was talking about a business case. One of the case studies he was talking about, we were able to support close to 8+ global languages. Right. Of course, English is the most popular for us, but yeah, we do support a lot of Latin American languages, European languages, and so on and so forth.
Sure, Vinil. I think we have one final question. The question is, how do we flag requests that could violate SLAs? Do we use it using predictive analytics here in this solution, Vinil?
So SLAs is pretty, So SLAs is pretty straightforward in terms of, because I'm assuming that the SLAs are for across all the ticket categories in enterprise has well-defined SLAs. If not, the SLA adherence is a different thing, but I think at least from a SLA articulation, I think it is pretty standard. Now, once that SLA is fed into the system, then the bot becomes aware of each kind of ticket, what is the kind of SLA, and based on the progression of the resolution, the bot is acutely aware of and it is tracking the SLA, and even before the SLA is kind of breached, the bot can now initiate workflows of escalation, right? So that's the capability that it has. Now on the predictability part of it, what it does is, that's an interesting question. One of the capabilities that we are trying to build into ServiceNext is, by looking at the pattern of where SLA breaches happen more than often not, and then learning from that and making sure that when a similar incident occurs within the same category, then the bot can help escalate it faster than it does for other categories.
Sure, Vinil, that helps. So Can we assume that this also takes care of the bot, takes care of the doing an intelligent agent assignment in case of any incoming requests?
Yes, of course. Like I've shown in the demo, that is something that during the configuration of the bot, that is one of the things where we'll partner with you in understanding your current ITSM organization structure, whether it is in-house or outsourced. We work with both scenarios, and then we kind of map that into the digital assistant platform, so that the bot is aware on how exactly the workflow happens, and how it can be handed off to an agent, and based on what category, based on and based on SLA, based on region, and so on and so forth. Gayatri?
Sure, Vinil. I'm good with the questions now. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Thank you, Vinil and Manas, once again for being for this wonderful webinar. Thanks all.
Absolutely, Gayatri. Thank you so much for the support, and good afternoon and good evening, everyone. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.